Marcus Chin stood at the floor-to-ceiling windows of his Seattle office, watching rain streak down the glass like tears. For the 8th night in a row, he'd woken at 3 a.m. from the same dream, her dream. The woman with hazel eyes that held flecks of gold, whose laugh he could hear despite never meeting her, whose presence felt more real than the steel and glass towers surrounding him. "You look like hell," his business partner Daniel said, dropping a stack of proposals on the desk. "Another rough night?" Marcus rubbed his temples. "Same dream. Same woman. It's getting ridiculous. Maybe you need a vacation. Or therapy." Daniel smirked. "Or both." Before Marcus could respond, his assistant knocked. "Mr. Chin, Sienna Reeves is here for the interior design consultation." Marcus turned from the window, expecting another polished professional in corporate armor. Instead, time seemed to fracture. The woman standing in his doorway was her. The exact face from his dreams, down to the small scar above her left eyebrow, the way her dark hair caught the light, the precise shade of her hazel eyes. His breath caught in his throat. Sienna Reeves felt her world tilt when their eyes met. She'd prepared extensively for this meeting with Chen Architecture, researched Marcus's award-winning designs, rehearsed her pitch. Nothing prepared her for the overwhelming sensation of recognition that slammed into her chest. She'd never met this man, yet something ancient in her soul whispered, "Finally." "Ms. Reeves?" Marcus's voice came out rougher than intended. "Welcome." Her hand extended automatically, professional instinct overriding confusion. "Mr. Chin. Thank you for this opportunity." Their palms met, and electricity sparked between them, not metaphorical but tangible, making them both gasp and pull back slightly before recovering their professional composure. "Please call me Marcus," he managed, gesturing toward the conference table while his mind reeled. "This is impossible. She's not real. She can't be real." But she was. Sienna settled into her chair, spreading design samples across the table with hands that trembled slightly. She'd felt that jolt too, and from the way Marcus stared at her, not inappropriately but with stunned disbelief, she wasn't alone in this inexplicable moment. "I've reviewed your requirements for the Luminance Hotel project," Sienna began, but her voice faltered when she noticed the sketch on his desk, a building facade she'd drawn in her personal journal just last week. Marcus followed her gaze. "That's just a concept I've been," he stopped. "Have we met before?" The question hung between them, heavy with implications neither understood. "No," Sienna whispered. "But I feel like we have." "Ooh." 3 weeks into the Luminance Hotel project, Marcus and Sienna had fallen into a rhythm that felt both natural and unsettling. They worked late most evenings, the office emptying around them while they debated marble versus granite, discussed lighting angles, and discovered increasingly impossible coincidences. "This is insane," Sienna said one Thursday night, staring at the photographs spread between them. "I took this picture in Prague 5 years ago. Same cafe, same angle, same table by the window." Marcus's own photograph lay beside hers, identical except for the date stamp showing he'd been there 2 years earlier. "The violet hour. I spent an entire afternoon there sketching. It felt important somehow, like I was supposed to be there." "I felt the same way," Sienna whispered. "Like I was waiting for something. Or someone." They'd been cataloging these overlaps for days. Both had recurring dreams about a lighthouse neither had visited. Both sketched the same architectural details in their private journals. Arches that defied conventional design, gardens with specific flower arrangements. Both woke at 3 a.m. on Tuesdays, always Tuesdays, with a feeling of profound longing. Marcus set down his coffee, his dark eyes intense. "Sienna, I need to tell you something. You're going to think I'm crazy. Try me." Her heart hammered against her ribs. "For 6 months before you walked into my office, I dreamed about you. Every detail. Your face, your voice, even that scar." He gestured toward her eyebrow. "I thought I was losing my mind." Sienna's hand flew to the small scar, an old childhood injury. The room seemed to shrink around them. "Marcus, I've been dreaming about you too. For almost a year. A man I'd never met but somehow knew. When you turned around that first day." She struggled for words. "It was like remembering something I'd forgotten. This isn't possible." But even as he said it, Marcus moved closer, drawn by invisible threads. "Quantum entanglement," Sienna said suddenly. "I read an article about consciousness studies. Some researchers think deeply connected souls might share dream space before physically meeting. It sounds ridiculous, but here we are." Marcus reached across the table, stopping just short of touching her hand. "Every rational part of me says this is coincidence. Pattern recognition. Confirmation bias. Sienna closed the distance, letting her fingers brush his. That same electric current flowed between them, stronger now. And the irrational part? Knows I've been waiting for you my entire life. The confession hung in the air between them. Outside, Seattle's lights blurred through rain-streaked windows. Inside, two souls recognized each other across whatever mysterious distance had separated them. I'm terrified, Sienna admitted. This is too much, too fast, too impossible. Marcus turned her hand over, tracing the lines of her palm. I know. But tell me you don't feel it. I can't. Her voice broke. I feel everything. They sat in the dimly lit office, hands clasped, both understanding that they'd crossed a threshold from which there was no return. Whatever force had drawn them together through dreams and coincidences now held them in its inevitable gravity. Friday evening arrived with a violent thunderstorm that rattled Seattle's skyscrapers. Most of the office had evacuated early, but Marcus and Sienna remained, finalizing the hotel's grand ballroom design. When lightning struck nearby, the building's power failed, plunging them into darkness broken only by emergency lights and the city's glow through the windows. I'll find candles, Marcus said, navigating to the supply closet. He returned with several votives, arranging them around the conference table. In their flickering light, Sienna looked ethereal, like she'd stepped directly from his dreams into reality. Romantic, she teased, but her voice trembled. Practical, he countered, sitting beside her instead of across. Though I won't complain about the ambience. They'd been dancing around this precipice for weeks, lingering glances, accidental touches that lasted too long, conversations that stretched past midnight. The storm outside mirrored the tempest building between them. Sienna set down her pencil, her design forgotten. Marcus, what are we doing? I don't know. He turned to face her fully. All I know is that every moment not touching you feels wrong. Like I'm forgetting to breathe. Thunder rumbled, shaking the windows. Sienna's hand found his jaw, her thumb tracing his cheekbone. I've never felt this way. This certain. It should be terrifying. But it's not. Marcus leaned into her touch, his eyes closing briefly. It feels like coming home. When he opened his eyes, the vulnerability in her gaze undid him. Sienna, I need to kiss you. But I need you to want it too. Her answer was to eliminate the space between them, her lips meeting his with a softness that quickly deepened into urgency. Years of dreaming, weeks of restraint, all dissolved in that first kiss. Marcus's hands tangled in her hair while Sienna pulled him closer, both seeking to merge the dream with reality. Wait, Marcus breathed against her mouth, pulling back slightly. Are you sure? Because once we cross this line. I've been crossing it in my dreams for a year, Sienna interrupted, her fingers working the buttons of his shirt. I'm tired of waiting for my waking life to catch up. He lifted her onto the edge of the conference table, stepping between her knees as her skirt rode up. God, you're real. You're actually real. Touch me and find out, she whispered, guiding his hands to her waist. What followed was an exploration of recognition. Each touch, each kiss feeling like remembering rather than discovering. When Marcus lifted her into his arms and carried her to the leather sofa, Sienna wrapped herself around him with complete trust. Their clothes fell away with whispered confessions and breathy laughter. I've seen this moment, Marcus murmured against her neck, his body hovering over hers. But the dream didn't do you justice. Sienna pulled him down, gasping as they finally joined. Show me the rest of the dream. The storm raged outside while they moved together in candlelight, two people making love like they'd done it 1,000 times before. Every touch was intuitive, every kiss exactly right. When release came, it felt like their souls had finally aligned with their bodies, dream and reality becoming one. Later, wrapped in Marcus's shirt, Sienna traced patterns on his bare chest. What happens now? Marcus pressed a kiss to her temple. Now we stop pretending this isn't everything. The first 2 weeks after that stormy night felt like living in a dream Marcus never wanted to end. He and Sienna were inseparable, working together by day, tangled in each other's arms by night. But paradise never lasts without testing. The trouble began on a Wednesday morning when Marcus's ex-fiancée, Victoria Ashford, appeared unannounced at his office. She'd heard about his sudden obsession through mutual friends and appointed herself his savior. Marcus, this is unhealthy, Victoria said, her designer heels clicking against his floor. You've convinced yourself this woman is from your dreams? That's not romance, it's delusion. You're projecting a fantasy onto some poor girl who happened to match a description. You don't understand, Marcus protested, but doubt crept in like poison. Was he being rational? Had he manipulated Sienna with his conviction about their connection? Simultaneously, Sienna faced her own inquisition. Her mother, Catherine Reeves, arrived from Boston with concerns fueled by Sienna's younger brother, who'd called their relationship cult-like and obsessive. "Darling, you barely know this man," Catherine said over lunch at an upscale restaurant. "6 weeks ago he was a stranger. Now you're talking about soul connections and shared dreams? This intensity isn't healthy. It's not real love, it's infatuation mixed with professional admiration. It's more than that, Mom. I can't explain it, but..." "Exactly. You can't explain it rationally because it isn't rational." Catherine's perfectly manicured hand covered Sienna's. "Real relationships build slowly, steadily. This feels like you've lost yourself in someone else's fantasy." The seeds of doubt took root. That night, when Sienna and Marcus met at his apartment, the ease between them had fractured. "Maybe we should slow down," Sienna said, standing by the window instead of melting into his arms as usual. "Everyone thinks we're moving too fast. Maybe they're right." Marcus felt his chest constrict. "Is that what you think or what they've convinced you to think?" "I don't know anymore." Sienna's voice cracked. "What if I've just gotten swept up in your certainty? What if this connection we feel is just, I don't know, good chemistry and wishful thinking?" "You felt it before you knew about my dreams," Marcus reminded her, but his own conviction wavered. "Unless I somehow influenced you. God, what if Victoria's right? What if I've been so desperate for this to be real that I've made you believe something that isn't there?" They stood on opposite sides of the room, the distance between them suddenly insurmountable. "I need space," Sienna whispered. "Time to think clearly without this pull between us clouding everything." Marcus wanted to fight, to pull her close and kiss away every doubt. Instead he nodded. "If that's what you need." She left without looking back, afraid she'd crumble if their eyes met. The following 3 weeks were agony. They communicated only through professional emails about the Luminance project. Marcus threw himself into work, but every night, the dreams intensified. Now he saw their future, a home filled with laughter, Sienna's hand in his as they grew old, quiet mornings and passionate nights. He woke gasping, more certain than ever but terrified he'd destroyed everything. Sienna fared no better. Without Marcus, color seemed duller, food tasteless. And the dreams came relentlessly, the same visions Marcus was seeing, she'd later learn. A future together, so vivid and real that waking felt like dying. On the 21st day apart, Sienna sat in her apartment surrounded by her research. She'd found Dr. Yuki Tanaka, a psychologist specializing in consciousness studies and precognitive dreams. The doctor's words echoed in her mind. Deep emotional bonds can sometimes manifest in shared consciousness before physical meeting. It's rare but documented. The question isn't whether your connection is real, it clearly is. The question is whether you're brave enough to honor it. Across town, Marcus stared at a sketch he'd drawn, Sienna in a wedding dress, laughing in a ballroom that looked remarkably like the one they designed together. Both realized the same truth simultaneously. Walking away from fear wasn't strength. It was cowardice. The Luminance Hotel's groundbreaking ceremony drew Seattle's elite on a crisp autumn morning. Marcus stood in his tailored suit, delivering remarks about vision and legacy, but his heart wasn't in the words. He scanned the crowd compulsively, hoping against hope. Then he saw her. Sienna stood at the back of the gathered crowd, wearing a burgundy dress that the wind pressed against her body. Their eyes locked and the 3 weeks of separation evaporated. Marcus stumbled over his next words, had to pause and collect himself, which earned knowing chuckles from the audience. The moment the ceremony concluded, they gravitated toward each other like magnets, meeting halfway between the crowd and the construction site. "I talked to Dr. Tanaka," Sienna said breathlessly, not bothering with preamble. "She specializes in consciousness research. She said that quantum entanglement between deeply connected souls can manifest in shared dreams before physical meeting. There are documented cases, Marcus. We're not crazy." "I don't care about the science," Marcus interrupted, framing her face with his hands. "I care that every day without you felt like living half a life. I care that I wake up reaching for you. I care that my dreams show me our future, and it's so beautiful it makes my chest ache." Tears streamed down Sienna's cheeks. "I've been dreaming it too. The same things. A house with a garden, Sunday mornings, growing old together. I was so scared, Marcus. Everyone made me doubt what I knew in my soul. And now I know that fear is just love asking us to be brave." She pressed her forehead to his. "I'm done being afraid of how intensely I love you. I'm done apologizing for knowing you're my person after 6 weeks. Some souls don't need years, they just need to find each other. Marcus kissed her there, in front of colleagues and clients and cameras, pouring 3 weeks of longing into it. When they broke apart, applause rippled through the remaining crowd. "Marry me," Marcus said against her lips. "That's the dream talking," Sienna laughed, but her eyes shone with possibility. "No, that's me talking. The dreams just showed me what I already knew the moment you walked into my office." He pulled back to look at her properly. "Sienna Reeves, I don't need time to be certain. I need you. Will you marry me?" "Yes," she breathed. "God, yes." 12 months later, the Luminance Hotel opened with Marcus and Sienna's wedding reception in its grand ballroom, the very space they designed together on that stormy night. The room glowed with candles and fairy lights that reflected off marble floors like fallen stars. Marcus held Sienna close as they swayed to their first dance, her white dress pooling around them like clouds. "You're more beautiful than any dream," he murmured into her hair. Sienna tilted her face up, her hazel eyes luminous with joy. "Reality with you surpasses any fantasy. Though I have to admit, the dreams got a few details right. Such as how perfectly you fit in my arms, how your heartbeat sounds against my ear, how loving you would feel like breathing." She kissed his jaw softly. "The dreams just gave me previews. Living it is so much better." Their story became legend among Seattle's architectural and design circles. The architect who saw his future wife in dreams and designed their destiny, and the designer who found home in a stranger's eyes. Some dismissed it as romantic embellishment. Others whispered about fate and soulmates, about forces beyond understanding. But Marcus and Sienna knew the truth. Sometimes the universe works in mysterious ways, connecting souls across impossible distances until the right moment brings them together. And when it happens, the only sane response is to surrender to it completely. As they danced under lights that mimicked stars, both silently thanked whatever cosmic force had let them see each other in dreams first, preparing their hearts for a love that would transcend logic, defy doubt, and prove that some connections are written in the fabric of existence itself. Their kiss, as midnight approached, tasted like promise and destiny fulfilled. The end.